All right, my secondary math 2 class. We are going to be wrapping up our unit on transversals. So these are our review notes and actually the last notes of the year. So yay for that. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Okay, so we have, sorry, I totally just lost my train of thought. Okay, so it says to identify each pair of angles as corresponding alternate interior, alternate exterior, or consecutive interior. Okay, so let's go ahead. We're just trying to name the relationship of the transversal. Okay, so I see that first thing I notice is that they're both on the left side of my transversal, right? Okay, well then I see that my x is on the inside of my parallel lines and my y is on the outside. So we can't classify one of them as interior or exterior because one's on the inside and one's on the outside. So that tells us these have to be corresponding. Okay, corresponding angles. Well, what are corresponding angles equal to? We know that corresponding angles equal each other. Beautiful. Okay, let's look at number 2. Let's identify the relationship in number 2. The first thing I notice is that they're both on different sides, or they are on different sides of my transversal. Okay, my x is on the left, my y is on the right. Okay, so different sides automatically tells us alternate. Okay, that's the word that means different. Okay, well, are they on the inside for interior or outside for exterior? I see that they're on the inside, so we know that these guys are alternate interior angles. Okay, and what are alternate interior angles equal to? Okay, well, these angles equal each other as well. All right, so hopefully by now you have gotten some good practice in just simply identifying the relationship. Okay, naming what types of angles they are. Turn down that for a second. Okay, now for numbers 3 through 6, we are asked to solve for x. Okay, so we're just trying to solve for what x is. So first of all, first thing we always have to do is identify the relationship. So let's look at number 3. So again, I see that they're both on one side, they're both on the left. Okay, but now we have one on the outside of my parallel lines and one on the inside. So again, that tells me corresponding angles. Okay, well, let's look up what are they equal to. They equal each other. So that makes it easy. We're going to take one of our angles and set them equal to the other angle. Okay, so I have 120 for my first angle and set it equal to my next angle, 23x plus 5. Beautiful. Now I can go ahead and solve for x. So we don't have any terms we can combine, so we can go ahead and start moving things. What do I need to move first, the times by 23 or the plus 5? Okay, plus 5 is farthest away, so we got to move that one first. What is the opposite of plus 5? Subtract 5 from both sides. So I get 23x is still on this side equals, what is 120 minus 5? Get 115. Okay, now I have one step to get rid of my 23. What is the opposite of times by 23? We're going to divide by 23. Okay, so we have 115 divided by 23, and we get x is equal to 5. And there we go. Alrighty. Okay, so let's look at number 4, and I actually want to change number 4 a little bit. Okay, so instead of having negative 6 plus 18x right there, I'm actually going to move it to right here. Okay, so we just moved that angle over there. Now that I've moved them, what relationship do we have? Okay, well now they're on the same side of my transversal, but they're both on the outside of my parallel lines. So same side tells us consecutive. Outside tells us exterior. Consecutive exterior angles. Okay, well what are consecutive exterior angles equal to? Let's write that down. These angles equal 180. One way to look at that is I see that 17x plus 1 is a big angle, right? It's an obtuse angle. And then negative 6 plus 18x is a small angle. It's an acute angle. Okay, well, whenever you're adding a big one and a small one, they're going to equal 180. Okay, so now what we have to do is we actually have to take each of these angles and set them equal to 180 and solve. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. So I have my first angle, 17x plus 1 minus, okay, since we're adding a negative right here, we're just going to keep the negative, negative 6 plus 18x equals 180. Okay, so now let's look at the same side as my x. So do I have any like terms that I can combine? Okay, I see 17x plus 18x. I really hope this works out since I changed it. So 17 plus 18 equals 35x. And then we can combine plus 1 and minus 6 to give us negative 5 equals 180. Okay, we might get a decimal, but oh well. Okay, my next step, let's start solving for x. What do I need to get rid of first, the times by 35 or the minus x? Got to get rid of the minus x. So what is the opposite of subtract x? Or not x, 5. Subtract 5 is add 5. So we're going to add 5 to both sides. We get 35x equals 185. Okay, my last step, opposite of times by 35. Divide by 35, and we get x is equal to 185 minus, or excuse me, divided by 35 equals a decimal. We'll just round it to one place, so that 8 behind the 2 is going to bump that 2 up to a 3, so we get x is equal to 5.3. We got a decimal because I decided to change the problem just so we can see a consecutive interior. Okay, and that's okay. Alrighty, let's look at number 5. Okay, so I'm actually going to change this one as well. So instead of having 7x plus 8 right there, I'm going to move it right there. Okay, now that I've moved that angle, what is the angle relationship? Okay, so first thing I notice is that they're right next to each other. So what is the math term that means right next to each other? We have adjacent angles. Okay, and when these adjacent angles create this straight line, what do they equal? Or how many degrees is a straight line? Angles equal 180. Okay? So we're going to do the same thing we did in number 4 where we have to take one angle and add it to the other one and set it equal to 180. Okay, so my first angle is 9x minus 4 plus my next angle, 7x plus 8, and we set it equal to 180, so we can solve. Okay, well, let's look at my side with all my x's. Do I have any like terms I can combine? Yes, I do. I have 9x plus 7x is going to give me 16x. And then I have negative 4 plus 8, which is going to give me a positive 4. And it still all equals 180. Okay? So now we can start moving things. Do I need to move the 16 or the 4 first? Okay, 4 is farthest away, so we're going to move the 4. Opposite of add 4 is subtract 4. So we get 16x equals 176. Okay, again, we might get a decimal here because I changed the problem, but that's okay. Opposite of times by 16 is divide by 16. So we get x is equal to what? What is 176 divided by 16? Oh, wow, we didn't get a decimal. We get 11. X is equal to 11. And there we go. Okay, so I wanted to change that one to show you guys an adjacent and solve for an adjacent angle. So now let's look at number 6. What is this angle relationship where they create this x, right? There's this x here, and they're right across from each other in that x. What is that called? Okay, well, we call that vertical angles. And what are vertical angles equal to? They equal each other. Okay, so all we got to do is set one of them equal to the other. So we have 35x is my first angle, and it equals my other angle, 36x minus 2. Okay, well now I see that I have x's on both sides of my equal sign. I like moving the smaller one, so 35 is smaller than 36. So what is the opposite of a positive 35x? We're going to subtract 35x from both sides. What are we left with over here? 35 minus 35 is 0, and that's okay. Then we get 36 minus 35 is just 1, or 1x. So we get x minus 2 equals 0. Okay, my very last step. What is the opposite of minus 2? We're going to add 2. So my x is equal to 0 plus 2, which is 2. And there we go. Beautiful. Okay, well now let's look at number 7. So now it's asking us to find the measure of the angle indicated in bold. Measure of the angle. Okay, the one in bold, if you can't see it very well, it's this one up here, 10x plus 16. So notice that we have x's in there. We can't find the angle until we solve for x, and we can't solve for x until we know what they're equal to. So we got to classify the relationship first. So first thing I see is that they're on different sides of my transversal, so that tells me alternate. And then they're on the outsides of my parallel lines, alternate exterior. Okay, well we know that alternate interior and alternate exterior angles equal each other. Okay, so we can take one angle and set it equal to the other because they equal each other. So let's take our first one, 10x plus 16, and set it equal to our other one, 12x minus 4, in order to solve for x. Okay, so I see that I have x's on both sides of my equal sign. I have 10 over here and 12 over here. I like moving the smaller one, so I know that 10 is smaller than 12, so I'm going to move the 10x. The opposite of positive 10x is subtract 10x. So I get 16 equals 12x minus 10x is 2x, and the minus 4 that was already over there. Okay, now I look at my side. Which do I need to get rid of first, the times by 2 or the minus 4? Minus 4 is farthest away, so what is the opposite of minus 4? Going to add 4. So I get 20, 16 plus 4 is 20, equals 2x. Okay. And now our last step, what is the opposite of times by 2? We're going to divide by 2. Alrighty. Okay, so I get x is equal to what? 20 divided by 2 is 10. But did it ask us to solve for 10 or solve for x? Are we done? No, it's asking us to find the measure of the angle. So we have to take our x that we found and plug it in where we see that x in the angle that it wants. So now I have 10 times x. So I have 10 times my x. Well, we found that x is 10, so we plug that in, and plus 16. Okay, and now we just have to solve for this guy. So first of all, we need to multiply before we can add. What is 10 times 10? Get 100. 100 plus 16 is 116 degrees. And that is our final answer. We found that this angle right here is 116 degrees. We had to solve for x and plug it back in. All right, let's do the same thing for number 8. The only thing I want to do here, just to review a different relationship, is I'm going to move our angle in bold, 16x minus 7, from there to there. Okay, so it's still our angle in bold, so we're trying to find the angle of that guy right there. Okay, well, now that I've moved it, what relationship is this guy? We've already talked about it once, but I just want to talk about it again. Okay, so I see that one is in the top right, the other is in the top right, so we know that these guys are corresponding angles. Same spots on those little 4 square chords. Okay, well, we already on number 1 know that corresponding angles equal each other, so we know we can take our first angle, 15x, and set it equal to our other angle, 16x minus 7. Okay, well, again, I see that I have x's on both sides of my equal sign. Okay, I have 15 over here and 16 over here. I like moving the smaller one. So what is smaller, 15 or 16? 15 is smaller, so the opposite of a positive 15 is subtract 15. Okay, well, 15 minus 15 just gives me a 0 over here. 16 minus 15 just gives me 1, or 1x. And the minus 7 that was already over there. Okay, now my last step for solving for x is, what is the opposite of minus 7? We're going to add 7. So I get x is equal to 0 plus 7 is 7. Is that my answer? No, but we need it to find our answer. Okay, so now my angle in bold, I'm going to use my x, plug it in where I see the x to solve. Okay, so now I have 16 times x. Okay, well, 16, we know x is 7. Okay, so and minus 7. And what is that going to be? Okay, so 16 times 7, we have to multiply before we can subtract. So let's punch that next calculator. 16 times 7 equals 112. And what is 112 minus 7? If you want to use your calculator, you can. We get 105 degrees. So we know that our angle that was indicated is 105 degrees. All right, you guys, those are your review notes. There is an assignment that goes with it.